Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
Hey, um, I'm fine. If you listened to last week's Clarice, I do apologize. I rushed through some things because I wasn't sure if I was going to throw. Um, so a little bit of a migraine, so it seems. That I've learned in the past 20 minutes I have a migraine. So I'm just kind of like making it. But I did when I changed. Also, for those of you, I changed. I'm wearing my same shirt because I watched the draft last Thursday. Um, and I feel like the draft it's always like what are we doing anyways while we're here? Um,
See, that's because you don't watch it with Dan and Danta because they spend weeks beforehand putting prediction sheets together, mapping out
oh, yeah.
every team and what exactly they need and what they're going to draft and who they're going to draft. And
No, we did that too. Nick is like a way better predictor than the rest of us. But like also when it comes to the draft, like how are these guys gonna do? Like, you don't really know until they're gonna play. How much play time are they gonna get? Like, obviously, you're gonna get Cam Ward's gonna play. Sure, obviously, no question. We got Tyler Shuck. Great, he's probably gonna play because we don't have a quarterback that knows how to play football. So, like, things like
yeah,
that.
Dan was not happy with the Bills draft.
I don't even know who they drafted.
Our first round pick was good. Our first round pick was good. He seems like he's gonna get fit in really well here. And then we got like three defensive tackles, and I'm not sure why.
Like,
Like we went real hard on corners and DTs, and I don't know why.
I mean, we do have a decent offense, but like,
Yeah, but we lost Mac Hollins and another wide receiver. Who else did we lose? Trying to remember, we lost another wide receiver. So we were short on that and didn't really draft anybody for that. So that's
right,
fine.
but you usually want to get at least like one offensive player usually in the draft, right? Like, those
Yeah.
tend to be the ones that go.
Yeah, unless you're Shador Sanders. What?
I know. Oh my gosh, that was wild.
Wild. Except for then I watched a video of somebody making a Pope draft and they were talking about all the people who are gonna be for the Pope. Oh my God, did I not send it to you? I have to send it to you
You
this
did.
video. They're all like talking about all who they have picked for the Pope. And then in the Pope draft, the Vatican draft Shador Sanders. It was the wildest video I've ever seen.
You have to send me that. I
I
love it
like
already.
I liked it on Instagram immediately to walk downstairs and send Dan, but you know, like when the little thing pops up to tell you who else liked it that you're friends with, his face popped up to tell me that he had already liked the video, and I came downstairs and I was like, I was gonna show you a video, and I'm so mad because you already liked it. He goes, which one? And I told him, he goes, no, I was gonna show you that video.
That's amazing. I
That's what
love
being
that
married
so
is.
much.
Being married is just getting mad at each other for seeing Instagram videos before you can show them to the other one.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I'm ready for football. Today. It's not time yet, but I'm ready right now. Especially after watching the draft. But I was listening to my casuals podcast and she was like, I don't really understand. Like, she used to work in football, like,
Yeah.
she's like in the NFL. And she's like, I just don't understand why they always have this placement. Like, we have two of the four major sports in the US are in their like championship games right now. Like, the NBA is in their like last round. Um,
Yeah.
NHL is in their playoffs, and we have the draft amidst that. And she's like, it just doesn't make sense, the timing. Like, obviously, it has to happen after Columbine, but before
Combine, not Columbine.
Combine. I can't. I have got a migraine. I'm sorry, I can't use my words.
I just,
Combine.
I just want
Yes.
to make sure none of our draft picks are pulling a Columbine.
No. I'm so sorry. I do know that. I do apologize for misleading anyone. Um, but after combine, but before like summer football starts,
Yeah,
everyone
training
training and
season.
stuff. So like I get it, but also I get her point of like why are you giving a TV away when we have like 6 NHL games? Plus, we're like in the midst of baseball, which no one cares about baseball right now.
Well, here's the thing.
Like,
It's too early to care about baseball.
mhm.
Um, my team hasn't been in the hockey playoffs since before Osama bin Laden died, and I don't have a basketball team, so I do care about the draft.
Right. Like we can care about the draft, but like I get her point of like sports in general. I
Yeah,
did look up because so her one of her producers is Australian, and
yeah.
so he's always given like Australian sports information. So he talks about like darts. He's into darts. That's a fun thing. That's
Yo,
exciting right now.
I
Um,
I would love to play. I know people who like do competitive darts at like bar leagues and stuff, and I'm like, I just want to get drunk and play darts, and no one will do that
I
with
know.
me.
Me, I would do that.
You
I
don't
will do
live,
that.
we don't live near the same bars.
Well, come to me and we'll go to one of my bars. And we'll find a bar down here that exists. I'm sure there's one. It's New Orleans.
Yeah.
I've played Bruno's, my old law school bar. I've played darts there. Um, so he's always talking about the Australian players, and he's like, there's this Australian guy who plays for, oh God, Red Wings, maybe? I don't remember. It was one of the hockey teams. And so he's like, this is what I keep up with. Like I keep up with him and whoever he's with.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, I wonder if there's anyone like from Louisiana who plays hockey. Because like we have the Moccasins again, which
Yeah.
is dope.
Yeah.
But we don't have like any like professional hockey, and we don't have college hockey really here.
Right.
So like I think like Shreveport has a hockey team or like a college hockey team or something. Like there's random stuff,
Yeah.
but not NHL drafting hockey.
Yeah.
So I was like, how much there's one player in the NHL that was born in Louisiana. One. And so I found him and I was like, great, he'll be
Wow.
my team. No, he's playing for the Bruins. They're out. So, and I don't typically go for Boston anyways. Like, I don't care for the Patriots. I think I have to be a Yankees fan over Red Sox. I've really had split feelings about that, but I think I'm leaning into a Yankees fan. Do you have feelings?
I
You
have
are giving me a
very
face of
strong
feelings.
feelings. I hate the Yankees
So
with
does
a
everyone else.
burning passion.
I know. So does everyone. Well, I thought I'd be a Mets fan, but I feel like I have to pick Boston or like the Yankees too. Like I have to pick one of them.
Baseball is the only sport I support Boston.
See, I think I'm okay with Boston for hockey because I don't really have a hockey team.
Oh, see, the
Well,
Bruins
you
are,
have a hockey team
yeah,
though.
the Bruins are like my least favorite hockey team.
See, I don't have anything against them. I don't normally like Boston. Obviously, I don't go for the Patriots.
Yeah,
But like, I mean, I like the Rangers, but I like the Rangers because they have a puppy, not
fair.
really for a real reason.
That's fair. I
So
mean,
if
and
I'm
I
gonna
would,
go for my Louisiana guy,
yeah,
that feels
that's
right.
fair. I would try to convince you to like the Sabres, but they're trash. So,
Right. That feels like a waste of my time, as much as I love you. And as much as I love Buffalo, Bills are my second team. Like I love a good Bills sport.
it's so funny
But
because for most of my life as a child, the Sabres were the good team and the Bills were the bad team. And then
mhm.
sometime about 2005, it just switched, and the Sabres have not given me a day of joy since then.
Yeah. But the
So,
Bills, man, they're also dragging you down.
well, that's
They
true. Thank God for the Bandits.
who are they?
They're
What do
our
they
pro
do?
they're our professional lacrosse team, and they're the three-time
Bro.
NLL champions.
We have lacrosse teams.
We
Do
have a
we have
nat
a
we
we don't have a
no. We
lacrosse
have a
team.
national
We don't have a
no,
baseball team.
no, the National Lacrosse League is mostly in Canada and then the North because it's
Sure. It's
lacrosse is a
lacrosse.
Canadian sport.
Yeah.
But the Buffalo Bandits are the three-time reigning NLL champs. Yeah, they're
I I also
phenomenal.
really want to get into women's hockey as much as I hated women who played hockey in New York when I lived there. There's like 6 teams right now. So like we're in the beginning. So like you
Mm,
can get into it while it's still fresh. So I'm kind of interested in that. But I like we don't even have a baseball team here, which is why
yeah,
I've never like
right.
gotten into baseball. Um, but I do want to go to our we have minor league here, or
Mm.
like I don't know, we have a New Orleans team. And we have the Pelicans who are good at basketball, and I don't even know where they're at this year. I've not paid attention. So I need to get back into my local sports a little bit, other than obviously the Saints. Obviously, I've
Yeah.
real deep dove into them still. But I need to
We
get into my baby cakes. That's my minor league team, baby
we're
cakes.
we're the National Lacrosse League is in their playoffs right now also, and the semifinals are this weekend.
Ooh.
And we are playing the Vancouver Warriors.
I want to get I don't know a lot about lacrosse either. I watched like some games in college and I don't know what happened. But like
Yeah.
intramural lacrosse or something.
I mean,
It,
listen, college does weird things too. I was really, really into men's volleyball in college.
I was on the volleyball intramural team in college.
Oh, I no, I was like a groupie for our Division 3 volleyball team.
Oh no, I was the team. I was not a
No,
groupie, I was the team.
I
I
was
got a
like
concussion.
I was like so into the team that the senior guys knew who I was as a freshman theater kid.
Mm. No, I got a concussion, and a black eye because one of the guys on our team was like two of me and came down on me because we went for the same ball and obviously he jumped higher than me.
Oh,
That was a fun day. That was in our like 10 p.m. practice. Intramural sports are wild, man. You
no.
just show up at 3 a.m. and that's when practice is. Like it's so insane. I miss that. I miss sports. I miss playing sports. Like I like watching sports, but I miss playing sports. I also learned they're gonna play minor league, like 6 minor league games this year on TV because the
Oh,
Savannah Bananas have gotten
bananas.
so popular
No.
with like their TikTok fads that they're
Yeah.
gonna play 6 minor league games. So that's exciting. I wonder if the baby cakes are gonna make it
I don't
to
know.
one of these Savannah games. I don't even know if they play each other. I don't know anything about it except that they have fun names. That's all I know about minor league baseball. And fireworks. They have fireworks at our games.
Yeah, they have fireworks at our games too. We have a minor league team. We don't have a major league team.
Yeah, we don't. Well, but like New York has major league. Like Louisiana doesn't even have a major league team at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Got two in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate them both, but that's fine.
You hate the Mets too. They don't even
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, I don't care.
So you're like Boston through and through for that?
No, no, Cleveland.
Hmm.
To be fair, when I was little, our minor league team was Cleveland's farm team.
Oh, right. You've told me this before. You've
Yeah,
told me this before. I
they're not
forgot about
anymore.
that.
Now our guys go to Toronto, but I can't bring myself to like Toronto.
That's fair.
Yeah. So
There's nothing wrong with Ohio
there's a lot
except the
wrong with
snow and the
Ohio.
rain. I really like your carry. I really like to see. I
I
like
know.
it in the Hall of Fame. Have I done that on here yet? Because I've been doing
Sure
that
have. You do that to
all
me
the
every time I
time.
complain about Ohio. Every time I complain about Ohio, which is a lot because I
Which
hate
is a
Ohio.
lot. Yeah. I just rediscovered that song this year and have been obsessed, obviously.
No.
How are you? Are we, did I ask you that yet?
You
Are
did
you
not
good?
ask me how I was. That's okay. I, you know, I swear this morning was the worst morning of my entire life for no reason. Like, have you ever just woken up and been like, I don't understand. I went to bed on time. I slept through the whole night. Why do I think my life is ending?
Me in the
And
past
like,
3 days.
and
Yes, I'm
like
familiar.
Saturday, got my hair done. That's the only thing I left the house for. Went, got my hair done, came back, like watched a movie with Dan, cooked dinner, like totally normal human being. Nothing
Sure,
crazy.
sure.
Yesterday was Dan's cousin's birthday, so I went to his aunt and uncle's house. And to be fair, his family, while I love them, that part of his family is like when you are trying to search for Wi-Fi, that level of battery drain all of the time, like my social battery. And for a good hour, I was the only one there.
They're the ones that did like the 17 games in different rooms or whatever.
Yes.
Mhm.
And this was a much chiller party than the last one, but everybody came late except me, including Dan. Dan had to come late, so it was literally just me and his cousins for like an hour. And then by the time the whole party ended and everyone else had been there, I was like, I'm going home. And Dan was like, I have to stop at the store. Do you want to come with me? I said, no,
No.
I'm going home. But then we still just like came home and ate dinner and watched TV, and I did all my lesson plans last night and graded papers last night, like actually got work done. So why did I want to die this morning? I don't know. But then to make things worse, we ran out of creamer on for our coffee on Friday, which was fine over the weekend because we could just do whatever we wanted. So we were like using scoops of ice cream as creamer and like experimenting with our coffee. But
Well,
then this morning, when I still didn't have creamer, which meant I had no coffee for work, after I already wanted to die, I walked
right.
into work at my workday starts at 7:35. I walked into work at 7:50 and looked at Caitlin and I said, I have absolutely no reason to be this late. And she goes, yeah, no, I just got here 3 minutes ago. And then 5 minutes later, Chrissy texts us and goes, hey, I'm having a day. I just pulled in the parking lot. There's no fire drill or anything going on. I can sneak upstairs, right? And we were like, yeah, you're good. All three of us were just like, what the fuck is Monday?
I feel
Um,
that.
and that's about where I've been at all day. So ready to rock.
Yeah, heard.
Um, and partially we're stalling because Courtney doesn't feel good, and partially we're stalling because Courtney doesn't want to talk about this episode. She has already threatened to quit the podcast multiple times. I woke up this morning to a text from Courtney at 1 o'clock in the morning, my time, that just said, what the fuck? And I looked at Dan and said, well, Courtney watched the episode.
Yeah,
So before I ruin everyone's life, can you give me some tidings of great joy?
absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes we strive so hard for perfection that we forget that imperfection is happiness. Karen Nave.
I love that.
Isn't it lovely?
It is lovely. Um, whew, lovely. We're gonna talk about Stargate, SG-1, Season 7, Episode 18, Heroes, Part 2.
The last episode of the whole show.
And every Stargate fan on the internet just shed a single tear for you. It was rated 8.8 stars. It's one of the highest rated episodes of the show ever. Um, and it premiered on Friday, February 20th, 2004. Um, the top song was Slow Jams by Twista featuring Kanye West and Jamie Foxx, in case we
Yeah,
forgot where we were.
because we forgot what year it is. Yeah.
Um, the top book is The Last Juror by John Grisham.
Hmm. I haven't
Um,
read it, but
but
I do know about that one.
and the 51st Dates is still the number one movie. Um, on this day, in case also you just want to understand that time is an illusion, um, Stanislav Reiniak, who was the first prisoner in Auschwitz, he did not die in Auschwitz. He lived until the 2000s, obviously, but he was the first prisoner in Auschwitz. He had the lowest tattoo number of any prisoner in Auschwitz. Um, he was buried on this day.
Oh, back timeline.
But
Timeline.
then also on this day, the 90482 Orcus, a huge planetoid dwarf planet, was discovered in the Kuiper Belt. We're at the same time in history where we're discovering new dwarf planets and Holocaust victims are dying.
Yeah.
What is time?
I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, so it was a weird time, 2004. You had to be there.
I had to
Um,
be.
this episode was directed by Andy Makita, written by Robert C. Cooper, and edited by Eric Hill. The guest star is Robert Picardo, who plays Richard Woolsey. He is not the most important character in this episode, but he is going to be back. Um, he's known for Star Trek Voyager, China Beach, and Star Trek First Contact. He goes by Bob, so I wrote Bob for the
Wow.
rest of my notes. Yeah. Bob got a drama degree from Yale, which is really only fascinating because he started Yale pre-med.
It's nonsense I do.
He performed on stage with Diane Keaton.
Oh,
He has put out a CD of parody songs just for shits. He has over 250 credits on IMDb. Um, he owns two parrots. And he was
they're
one
gonna
of the
outlive him.
Probably. And he was one of the last two people to speak to John Candy before he died.
Oh,
This guy,
what
I really,
credit?
Yeah, I just love him. Also like because he's a Star Trek person, Dan's family is like obsessed with him. They have like an ornament on their Christmas tree of him, as his character in Star Trek. Um, he just played the bad guy in my new favorite Hallmark Christmas movie that I was obsessed with this year. I just adore him. He's like really great. I have not met him at a Comic-Con yet, but everyone I know who has met him says that he's just like so much fun at Comic-Cons. Um, he did a voice for the uh My Little Pony TV show and then like accidentally became a part of BronyCon and just like thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like
Amazing.
um yeah, he's great. Love
I
him.
love that.
Um oh, that is all trivia. Sorry. I was like, that did not look like the right thing. That is because there's not much trivia for this episode. The previously on just shows us last episode,
Sure.
which is
That's all you
normal
need.
for a two-parter.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Um, so Emmett is wandering around the base trying to get more information, and everyone is still running to the planet because we ended last episode on the emergency. And he tries to follow everyone to the gate room. He's still not allowed in. He's still very upset, and everything is just kind of chaos. Just kind of reminding you where we left off, and then we get the credits. Um, Then after the credits, we start in a video of Sam having an interview with Emmett about um, the Ghoul world and waging war and how the American people would feel about spending money on a war that they don't even know exists. And it turns out that he is just editing all of his film clips with her and Daniel. He's going through it, trying to like work on this because documentary editing is really difficult because you're trying to get people natural and they're automatically not natural because you're interviewing them and then you have to try to make it sound as natural as possible while also not making the audience hate the interviewer in the first 30 seconds of them talking. So, he's real stressed with the editing. And he also feels like the reason he's so stressed is because he has no real footage. It's just a series of interviews, which may be the most boring documentary that could ever exist.
Right.
Meanwhile, we go and see what's happening on the planet. There's a massive ambush at this point. It's basically like they're fighting an entire Goa'uld army. It's wild. Um, and there's very, very heavy fire. It's not going well. Jack takes a blaster to the chest and Sam rushes to him. And we cut off of that scene. Um, Back in the SGC, Harriman is giving Emmett a tour of the gate room and he's trying to get more footage, but the wormholes activated an SG-1 radios to tell SGC that there's been some serious casualties. Hammond kicks Emmett and the film team out of the gate room. Things are not
They're
looking
not
good.
well. Things are not
No.
well.
Sam is walking down the hallway out of the gate room and she is crying, and Emmett ambushes her. And she basically tells him to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
She like loses her shit on Emmett. And then we get to a moment that I think if the episode didn't head in the direction it did, this moment would be the most impactful moment of the episode. Because Emmett is also basically crying at this point.
Right.
And he is so angry and he gets really, really worked up. And he gets upset about what it means when the press turns its back on the truth. And he says to the cameraman, he was like, oh God, what is the quote? Because I literally repeated the quote like 3 times when I watched the episode yesterday. But he says, the truth, the truth will never get to the people from a media that is serving a politician. It wasn't exactly that. His wording was more eloquent than that, but I literally paused it and I said, dear everyone.
Dear everyone.
But then I also like part of it is that knowing that Saul Rubinek's family history and like everything that he's saying about Mao and about Nazi Germany and what the press being a part of the media, like the part of the political complex does to the people after knowing that he has directly experienced that was
Right.
like really emotional for me. And I was like, and I was like, and I was like, this is it. I was like crying just at that. And Dan was like, this is the line of the episode. And I go, no, it's not. He goes,
Mhm.
just hold on to the happy things. Um,
Mhm.
so in the mess, Emmett is still really upset. He's like sitting at the table. He's just trying to get any information he can. And apparently his passionate speech to his cameramen has at least warmed them up to him enough that they come in and they tell him what little info they have. And Randall confirms with them that Jack was hit and brought back to the base on a stretcher, and that is probably why Sam is not well.
Right.
Um, then Richard Woolsey arrives, and he tells Hammond that he will be conducting interviews and creating a report for the president as part of some decision making on a financial oversight committee that is going to decide whether the SGC can stay in operation and Hammond can continue to run the SGC. Um, so, and he is just a smug prick. Sam gets the dirt on Woolsey and says that he is too smart for them to bullshit. Like, this is not a game that they can really play. They're gonna have to be honest with him about what's happening because he's he's too good for them. So then Hammond asks Sam to speak at the memorial on Wednesday. Um, at this point, we still have no confirmation
Right.
of who is gone. They are kind of trying to force you to think that it's Jack.
They are. But I, in the beginning, I remembered someone that he last passed on this show, and that person is still there.
Mm,
So I did not think it was Jack. Because I was also just like, I don't know if they're gonna make this Jack, like how are they gonna turn it around? Because I know that he lasts longer than this episode. And so I was like, are they gonna try and do another Daniel thing? Like, are we just about to go in circles? We just talked about how they don't go in circles. That's why we like this show. Like,
yeah.
so I wasn't sure what was gonna happen.
Well, and we'll talk about that when we get to the trivia because there's some stuff about that. And I do just want to say number of episodes that people are in doesn't actually necessarily have anything to do with when their characters
No, no, no.
die. Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with number of episodes.
Okay. Because I was like,
I'll
I
tell you when
know.
we're off the air. I don't want to
Okay.
spoil it for anyone else.
Okay. But yeah, no, but we've already seen like weird alternate universes and alternate timeline things. And so like
Right.
number of episodes on the credits don't actually necessarily correlate to characters'
Right.
lives.
Mhm.
Um, but then in trying to get us to think that Jack is gone, Sam asks Hammond, she's like, you're checking on all of us, but like, how are you doing? And he says, as a leader, sorry, I'm gonna cry. This is, guys, I'm done, just so you know. Um, as a leader, you try to think of each part of your team as equally valuable because you can't make the kind of decisions that he has to make and send people into danger the way he does if you don't believe that every single person is equally important to you. However, that's just not true. And I feel this as like a teacher too. I love every single one of my kids. I will teach all of them equally. I will love all of them equally. I will put in as much work and as much effort to grade all of their papers equally. I will treat each and every single one of them like they have an equal part of me. However, at the end of the day, you never mean to, but there are kids who hold your heart differently. And so I
I
just
mean, I
like,
feel that way with the artists that I worked with.
right. It's just,
So I get it.
yeah, it's obviously harder when you're in charge of their life and death. So I get why Hammond doesn't want to feel that way.
Right.
But um
So they're obviously not doing well. Um, so then Woolsey starts his interviews, and Sam comes in first, and he is a real aggressive, and he's like, she was like, listen, like, this is active combat, like, this is military, this is not. And he's like, I understand that. I understand that people die. I just want to make sure that this death wasn't unavoidable. I want to make sure, like, he's basically like going through every single decision that every single person made for the entire mission to make sure that this wasn't something that they could have avoided. Um, Daniel and Teal'c are also getting interviewed, and we kind of go back and forth between all three of them. Woolsey is aggressive, and Teal'c will not speak at all. And Daniel, in the least Daniel-like thing we have ever seen him do, says, "You want to fire me? You want to arrest me? Fucking do it."
No.
And just like storms out. And I was like, "Ooh, all right."
Like we got
So
glasses off Daniel again.
a little hot and bothered. Um, Emmett goes to talk to Daniel, who won't really say anything to him either. And Emmett notices that there is blood on Daniel's camcorder. And he asks him if he was filming while they were out there. And we get a flashback of the battle. We get our first, because obviously we don't know everything that happened on planet. That's the one I think I really like the way that they filmed this episode because there's so many questions about what happened. We don't have the answers. And we usually have all the answers when we're waiting for everyone else to figure out the
Right.
answers. And this is the first time that we don't have the answers. Um, so Janet and Daniel on planet get to Simon. They're trying to heal him. Daniel is talking to Simon to distract him while Janet works. Um, and Simon's like, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm not gonna make it. And Janet's like, we will not leave you behind. So he asks if they'll be able to tell his wife something. And Daniel says, okay, we got this, and takes out the camcorder. But then we don't get to see what happens next. That's the end of the flashback. Um, Back in reality, Daniel snatches up his camera and tells Emmett he has to leave. Like, he's not putting up with this. He's like, when I said I wasn't going to say anything, I meant it. So Emmett tells Daniel the story of a reporter in Vietnam who was almost killed, but a lieutenant pushed him out of the way. And as he dropped his camera while he got pushed to the side, the camera fell and took a picture on accident. And it happened to get the moment that this lieutenant was shot. And he kept this picture to himself and never showed it to anyone else for 25 years. And then one day realized that the picture wasn't really a picture of someone dying. It was a picture of someone sacrificing themselves and being a hero and saving him.
Yeah.
And that was a story worth being told. And Emmett says, you guys are in this all day, every day. You see terrible things, but what you don't realize is what you're doing for other people. And it is never going to change. And it is never going to be easier to live with what you've seen unless you realize the story that it tells the rest of the world. Yeah, I had a lot of feelings about this episode, both in terms of like the actual episode and then in terms of all of the like processing everything that has happened with my
I
grandpa and
oh
like
yeah.
and like the stories of Vietnam soldiers and the stories that never get told and everything. And like at the end of the episode, I was crying, and Dan was like, "Are you crying because of the episode?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." And then he said, and then I just said, "No," and just kept crying. And he was like, "Are you thinking of grandpa?" I was like, "Yep." And so he like came over and like came onto the couch on my couch and just like held me for a minute because I was like, it sucks. Like watching this episode hits very differently now. Like obviously it was terribly sad 13 years ago, but I'm a very different,
Sure.
or 23 years ago, but I'm a very different person than I was 23 years ago, and I've experienced a lot of different things that made it way harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that I at least didn't have that. Like my grandfather passed away, but he passed away in a nursing home 5 years ago. Like he was out of the Navy by the time I was born.
Yeah.
So like, it didn't really have a lot to do with the war and stuff, but like I had a lot of feelings this episode because I thought, especially at this moment, I thought we were setting it up really hard to be a happy ending of Jack's not dead. Like we had a couple casualties, but Jack's not dead, and that was what it was setting us up
Mm.
for. And this is kind of the point that turned on that for me, that I was like, this is it. Everything's fine. Like it sucks, but it's like
Mm.
everything's gonna be okay.
Like
He's seen everyone.
they built you up to knowing that, to thinking Jack was dead, and then they gave you this like message of hope in the middle of the episode, and you're like, oh, so Jack's not dead. It's gonna be
Yeah.
okay.
And so I thought that the whole point of the episode was to like give you this really emotional pull with Jack, because we haven't had as much of him this season, obviously, because he's been not filming as much.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting a lot of emotions with him still, to like make sure you still kept relevant with him, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know how you would,
Yeah.
but that's what I thought. I was like, oh, they're really going to turn this around. You're going to like appreciate Jack from the other side more. It's like, even though we don't see him as much, he's still going to have that same emotional impact he's had on this last few episodes. And it's just kind of like a reminder that he's still there.
Because he has had the last couple episodes have been extra emotional with Jack and Sam stuff, and it kind of feels like you're building up to, and I think that was on purpose. I think they put so much Jack and Sam stuff right before this to set you up to think he was dying. I think they really did want to like give you something there.
Yeah.
So then Hammond brings his mission report to Woolsey and says that if you feel that you have the truth of what's going on here, why don't you just talk to the documentary team? You want to know something that you think I'm not telling you? The president sent cameras. You can just talk to them. So Hammond's also obviously in a really bad place. He's yelling at like Pentagon people. He's yelling at Senate people. He's just like done. So Randall comes and tells Hammond that Emmett was caught sneaking into the infirmary. And Hammond says to toss him out on his ass. He's like, I'm done.
He's like, we're not playing anymore.
Emmett confronts Hammond and things get real testy. And Hammond's like, no, you're gonna leave. And he's like, I'm gonna let me make some calls. He goes, then make some calls. I'm done. You can't be here anymore. You're in my way. You're messing with my people. They fight over the red phone. It's wild.
Yeah.
Then the next time we see Hammond, clearly that phone call did not go well for Hammond because Hammond is telling Daniel to turn over the tape. And Hammond says that after all the conversations and after everything that's going on, if his option is to trust Bregman and the Air Force documentary team or Woolsey and the NID, he trusts Emmett. Like, if those are his choices, that's where he's going, which is the correct choice.
Sucks. Yeah. It's like Emmett's not a bad guy. He's just a journalist.
Yes, Emmett's not a bad, exactly. Emmett's not a bad guy. He's just a journalist, but he's a journalist who actually cares about the truth. He isn't trying to spin the story one way or the other. He's just trying to be honest with people. He's like exactly what you would want from a military journalist, is somebody who just has the truth in mind without a spin, without a complex, without a agenda. And he's being a jerk because he's being cornered, like, and told he can't do anything. And he's like, that's not how the truth works.
Right.
Man, I wish he would have made the SeaWorld documentaries.
What a time. I still haven't watched those.
I only have watched parts of them, but it's my friend was actually just recently making a video explaining to someone, like, she does like basically she's a zookeeper and she does like stuff on TikTok about like conservation and stuff, and she used to work at SeaWorld too, and she was basically explaining the actual problems with that documentary, which include the fact that every single person that they interviewed it includes the fact that every single person that they interviewed actually had never worked with whales or had been fired from working with the whales.
That's a bummer. Wrong way. There we
Yeah.
go. That's a
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
funny. That's
it's
interesting. I didn't hear that.
yeah, it's not that. I mean, obviously SeaWorld's not perfect by any means, but
Sure.
literally you
Sure.
can't you've lost your credibility when it turns out that all of your firsthand sources are not firsthand sources.
Yo.
But so many people don't know that because they just fell into the trap of the drama of the Blackfish movie. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, but literally none of those people ever worked with Telecom. Ever.
That's so wild. I had no idea.
Yeah. And like one of them actually got fired from working with like the sea mammals because they tried to like push them too far in training and like were maltreating the animals. And that's who they chose to interview.
That's not the one.
Not the choice.
That's not the one.
Ooh.
Oh no.
So yeah. So that was just fresh on my mind about how we really just gotta vet our sources in everything, even
Well,
documentaries.
because I know that, like, well, first of all, everything has an angle. There's no doubt. Whoever pays for it has the angle.
Right.
But like, of course, there are problems with different like SeaWorlds, things like that, and captivity and whatnot. But
Absolutely.
like some of them do have a lot of good like conservation
Yeah.
purposes as well.
Well,
Like,
and actually, like, and that's the thing, like, SeaWorld Orlando, like, while the concept of SeaWorld, I understand where people have problems with it, and I understand, like, the idea of whales in captivity and what that means and the work that they're trying to do to change that. And I'm not defending, like, past practices, but the
Sure.
current iteration and the SeaWorld Park in Orlando, SeaWorld Orlando has done more for marine conservation in Florida than anyone, including Epcot. And like that is me coming from somebody like I'm pro Disney all of the way.
Sure, yeah.
SeaWorld Orlando and their local conservation projects in Florida, especially with manatees and the Florida coral, like absolutely not. You can't tell me that that's evil. Like you just can't. There's no. Ugh. Man, I wish I had my SeaWorld rescue tank top on right now.
That would be perfect.
But so Emmett takes the tape and he starts playing it, and it is, and this is where everything turns out really, really badly. He's watching it, and it is a tape. It is a tape of Simon saying goodbye to his wife and telling her that he loves her and that he loves the baby and that he's sorry. And then he freaks out and he's like, I can't let her watch me die. You need to turn that camera off. And as Daniel's about to turn the camera off, Janet gets hit by a staff weapon and Daniel starts screaming. And it is very clear that it is not okay, that she is not okay. Emmett looks like he's about to lose his lunch, and Colonel Randall confirms, because Colonel Randall had just walked in with the unclassified mission report and walks in and confirms that both Simon and Jack are okay and survived. However, Janet did not.
Never in 7,000 years would you have told me Jan was not leaving this episode.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, this felt so much like it gave me so many like reminders of the Glee episode after what's his face? What's his name?
Oh, after Corey Monteith died?
After Corey Monteith died, that I was like, this feels like she died in life. And I know she didn't because I know you've met her. So I know she's still alive. However,
No,
it
I
doesn't
haven't
sound
met,
good.
I have not met her yet. She's on my list, but I have not met her yet.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
But still, I knew
Yeah.
she was like at Comic-Con and stuff. Like I knew she was
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
And it feels like she's not. Like it is.
Well,
it was
obviously
so-
she's alive. She was in Bates Motel.
Oh, right. I forgot about that too.
But yeah. And that's like when you texted me and you were upset, I was like, even if I had tried to warn you, nothing I would have said could have prepared you for this unless I just straight up spoiled the episode.
Yeah.
Because it comes so from left field. It is not a character it is not an actor that wants off the show. It is not like somebody that you have bad blood with. It is not a character that is often at risk. It is not an actor that is older or sick. Like it is,
There's not even lead up in the episode.
yes.
Like, because a lot of times when people die in the episode, like you get a little bit of lead up, or like you have the episode before is about them. Like,
Yeah.
we barely even saw Janet.
We haven't seen Janet really truly in like quite a few episodes. Like it's been a while. And actually, while we were watching part one, I was thinking, I was like, I did not remember how little of this episode she was in. When we got to the Emmett Janet scene, I was like, I can't believe it took 30 minutes before she was in this episode because I obviously knew where this episode was going. And I was like, I forgot how little we get of her before we just lose her.
It was so wild. And I mean, I guess I did notice, I was like, we don't normally have Janet in the field. It's weird that Janet's in the field. Like, I had that thought.
You even asked me about that. Oh, no, I lied.
Did I?
Dan, no, you didn't. Dan did. Dan was like, has Janet ever gone to the field?
I was like, I did say it, but I thought I just said it out loud to myself.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, it was when we were watching the episode, Dan asked me, he was like, has Janet ever gone in the field before? And obviously he also knew what it was coming because I spoiled that for him. He didn't get to watch that unencumbered because he needed to be my support because I was not going to be able to watch it.
Sure.
Knowing what happened, I was not able to watch it. But he was like, has Janet gone in the field before? I go, yes, very rarely. I think we've seen it like three or four times. Yeah, and I was like, and it's been alluded to maybe a handful times more than that, but she only goes out in the field if it's an emergency. Like that's not a thing.
All right.
So then we take a quick break from that level of pain, and Sam goes to check on Jack, who's awake, and they're talking, and he asks how Cassie's doing, which then and Sam confesses that when she thought he wasn't going to make it, she couldn't function. And he comforts her and they have a moment and it's just...
Well, could you imagine the love of her life and her best friend?
At the same time? No.
I would just die. Yeah. I would just take myself out.
Yeah. Daniel goes to visit Simon and make sure that he is okay because Simon really doesn't have anybody else. And obviously Daniel was with him in that moment. Mm-hmm. And we find out that Simon is going to get to be home in time for his wife to have the baby. He's making a full recovery. He's going to be okay. But he blames himself for Janet dying. And Daniel...
How do you not? Like, it's not his fault, but how do you not?
Daniel's like, you will never live with any day with yourself if you take that kind of weight on you. Like, she was military as well. Like, she knew what she was doing. It's not fair. It's not okay, but it's not your fault. And then we get to Sam, who is just crying, staring at her computer, and she's trying to figure out what she's supposed to say at the memorial service. And she cannot get it together. But Teal'c comes in, and Teal'c's like, I thought about what I would say if it was me, and I wrote something, and I don't want to say it. It still should be you, but I'll share.
Like, it'll still sound better coming from
you. And so she looks at it, and she's like, it's perfect. Emmett gives Daniel the tape back and he's like, I can't use this. Like it's not okay. And Daniel says, but you should. He was like, I want you to use it because every single part of that tape tells you exactly who Janet was as a person.
Like, and it's almost like Janet was ascending because they had the tape in the light on the bed and they were talking about like Daniel's stuff.
And they were talking about Daniel ascending, but like just everything that she said to Simon before she died was everything she stood for as a person. And if you play that in context with the interview that she had with Emmett, like he was like, he was like, I think that tape is who Janet was. And Emmett says, me too. And Daniel talks about the fact that Janet, even when Jack was fighting to let Daniel ascend, Janet didn't want to let him die. And she did that for everyone. And she never gave up on them. And he was like, and we never gave her nearly enough back.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Janet never got enough appreciation. We've talked about this before, though.
Yes, we have. And then they have Janet's funeral. And as soon as they started playing taps, I was fucking done. I was done.
Yeah.
And then Sam gets up there to read her speech. And rather than an actual prepared speech, it is just a list of the names of everyone that has ever been saved on base
That's
because
where
of
I
her.
lost it.
And so my grandpa was a medic in Vietnam, so that was also his job. And so I was not okay. And but as the tape and like as it fades away from Sam saying those names into the tape and Emmett kind of narrating about who Janet is and what happened in this thing, and he shows it to Hammond, and Hammond says that it is perfect. And he was like, "You don't think it's too sentimental?" And he was like, "No, I think it's exactly right." And Emmett says that there's just one thing that's missing. Um, and Hammond says he'll work on it. Then we get a quick flash to Daniel, who went to go see Simon and his wife. And it turns out the baby was not a boy, which is funny because the his troop leader in the first episode just kept saying that that's not a boy, that's not a boy, like that's Anagram's a girl, and he's the only one of the four of them who had kids, and they still doubted him. It was a girl, but they named her Janet. And then we get our final shot, and it is Emmett having set up to finally get an interview with Jack. And that is the end of the episode. um so do you have any thoughts before I talk?
Sad. I'm sad. I love Janet. She's one of my favorites. She's been one of my favorites since the beginning.
I know.
I didn't know she died. I feel like I have like a sense of kind of where everyone goes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Daniel threw me through a loop, but he's back, so that didn't really stand. But like I was even more shocked by like her death than like Daniel's first death.
Yeah.
And like I kind of have a sense of how everybody else leaves the show from just hear things here and there. But Janet was one that I've never even like considered how she left. I just assumed she was there until the end. Like if you had another episode that came out yesterday, I would assume she was on it. Like she just was the show. She didn't leave the show.
Yeah. So that's kind of part of why they chose her. At this point, when they did this episode, they didn't know that Atlantis was coming, but they didn't think that they were getting any more SG-1. They thought that this was at the end, and they wrote this as the end, basically. Not the final episode. They didn't want it, but this was their way of ending things. And Robert C. Cooper deliberately wanted someone to die who would have a bigger emotional impact, because up to this point everyone who's died has come back to life, and it's gotten to the point where it's kind of a joke. The Terra podcast does a counter of how many times each character has died so far, and they're only on season 2. Like
amazing.
So he needed it to be somebody who would change the stakes of the show, because he felt like the show had kind of been cheapened a little bit by how many fake deaths or worked around deaths there would be. And the only person who was integral enough to the show to have the emotional impact without changing the format of the show. Because if you got rid of one of the four or Hammond, it changes the show entirely.
But nobody else has the same impact.
And the closest would be like, I'll be honest, if something happened to Walter out of nowhere, I would be like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't
it's not the same
hurt the same.
Yeah. I mean, you could get rid of Braytag, but you still need someone on the Jaffa, especially since they've separated now. Same thing with with Jacob, but you still need someone on the talk right now that they've separated. So like you can't really
Well, and
like,
we've
they're your
also
main
we've
point of
also
contact.
lost other. We've lost tons of Jafan Gold. Like we've lost other Tok'ra. We lost Martuf. We lost other aliens. We lost both Share and Skara and
That's true.
and both of Teal'c's wives. Like
Right. We haven't lost one of our team.
yes, we haven't lost one of our team since Kowalski. That mattered.
Right. That was episode 2. For those of you
Correct.
that
Yes.
don't remember.
Right. So it's big. But let me get to all my notes. This episode was originally not was supposed to just be a fun, weird, lighthearted like documentary episode. And then Robert C. Cooper was like, we need to have more gravitas, and he changed the episode. And the writers' room was not happy at first.
So Rod is the one I need to call.
Correct.
Not Joseph Mullins.
Well,
he's fine. Sorry, Joseph. I yelled
yeah.
at you earlier.
And
We're okay.
not everyone was happy, but since then, Robert C. Cooper, Joseph Malozzi, Martin Wood, and Michael Greenberg, the executive producer, have all said that this is the best episode Robert ever wrote.
And I have to say, I think I picked him at our last when we went through the last series wrap up. I talked about liking him the best.
Yeah.
Because he's a great writer.
Yeah.
But he's pissed me off today.
Yeah. Robert then said in an interview later that if they had known that the show wasn't being canceled, he would not have done it.
Well, sure.
He doesn't regret it. He thinks it's a beautiful episode. He thinks it's the best episode he ever wrote. He thinks it is such a deserving monument to Janet. But if he had known he had more time, he would not have done it. Oh, and then this is where I said, oh, he does think it's an important death because the whole dead not dead thing, it was really but this is also Terrell Rothery said that the only way that she got through this was that was not the last scene they filmed. She was like, they filmed that scene. Michael and I went to lunch and we came back and they gave me my call time for tomorrow. And it was the only way I got through the day because like, yeah. So, yeah. When I said that season 7 was going to get really intense, all season, everything that I've been saying has been leading up to this episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the 2-part season finale is also super important, super amazing. But when I think about season 7, this is the episode I think about.
Like, so I probably won't cry in the finale.
No.
Amazing. Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Yeah. No, they're big, but not for that reason. Yeah, this is the one. This is when I said that this season was gonna wreck you, this is the one that I meant.
I do think this wrecked me more than Daniel's death. Like, I was affected by Daniel's death. Obviously, I had a whole fit about it.
Yeah.
On the podcast. You all have heard. But like, I don't know. Like, so much has happened to Daniel that it wasn't quite as out of left field. And I think being so far out of left field and being so like Janet's just like she's the through line, I feel like. Like, she doesn't have a lot of ups and downs. She's the through line. She carries them all through and like make sure they all survive and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, now what? We get a new doctor? Stupid.
Yeah. This on every ranking of every like list of people saying like picking the most emotional deaths or the hardest episodes to watch of the show, this is number 1. This is the worst thing you will watch. Number 2 is also really bad, and we haven't even met those characters yet, but don't worry. But this is the number 1. Like, this is every list I've ever seen.
Is number 2 an SG-1 still?
No, number 2 is an Atlantis thing.
Just in the universe.
In the universe, yes. The number 2 is an Atlantis thing, and because Atlantis is my first love, number 2 is harder for me.
Sure.
But
this is probably harder for me.
Yes, but this is also like in consensus on all the Screen Rant lists, on all the IMDb lists, like everything on the internet, this is the number one hardest emotional thing in the entire Stargate world
Yeah, I
cinematic
watched
universe.
this last night, not under the guise that it was gonna break my heart into 7,000 pieces. I thought it was the second half of a documentary episode. I thought we might have some people hurt, but not that we knew because, they were at war.
Yeah.
But so I watched it and then I was gonna watch Clarice and I finished and I was like, no, nope, I'm gonna go watch. I've been watching St. Denis Medical has been my like
Mm-hmm.
nighttime show
Oh my
lately.
God. Dan and I watched a
Um,
couple episodes of that. So funny.
it's so funny. I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in because I keep falling asleep. That's my
Yeah.
nighttime show. That's how that works. And I was just like, I can't even watch like Elspeth isn't even that intense, and I'm behind like 2 weeks on Elspeth now because I can't
Yeah.
watch it. I was like, I need something that is pure like sitcom. Like I can't even have something to care about right
Yeah.
now.
I'm sure there was a post of there's a post on Reddit on the Stargate page. And I can't even remember like what I don't even remember like what it actually said. But it was like one of those things where like, how are you? It was like the episode hasn't even started yet. Why are you already crying? And then it said the episode in question, and it was just a picture of Saul Rubinek, and I was like, but I couldn't share it with you because that didn't mean shit to you.
But you should share it with me and then I'll post it as the episode comes out.
If I can find it, because Reddit is a horrible place.
Yeah,
The Stargate Reddit is actually probably the most poppin' Reddit page I'm a part of. It's wild. So,
well, unfortunately, I can't be a part of that
yeah.
one. So, my most popular is Xbox. My Xbox Game Pass. That's what.
Yeah. No, the
my
every day when I get a notification, it's either Stargate, Akatar, um, leopard geckos, or weirdly, I accidentally got really deep into the Disneyland Paris.
Ooh.
But that's actually helpful for me at this
Yeah.
moment. 6 months from
Right.
now, I'm going to be real mad every time I get a notification. But
Sure.
those are the four that I get notifications from every day.
What a time! What a time to be alive.
Yeah. So as if life wasn't hard enough, who do you want to punch?
Everyone. Everyone. I have to pick one though. Whoever the Jaffa was that shot her.
That's fair. That's okay. I'm gonna pick Woolsey because he's a little dick.
Oh, God, I don't like him either, but he didn't kill Janet, so
True.
yeah.
Who is your MVP?
Janet. God, for every MVP until the end of Stargate was Janet.
This
should
is
have been
hard.
up until now every episode too. Yeah.
This is hard, because on the one hand, like it should be Sam, but I am gonna say Emmett.
I think I would have picked him if I didn't pick Janet.
Yeah, because also sorry, I didn't say this in my trivia. That story he told about the photographer in Vietnam entirely fictional.
Like he made it up. It's fictional in canon, or it's like fictional.
Fictional in real life, like that's
okay.
that didn't
Gotcha,
happen.
gotcha.
Yeah, it definitely sounds
I
like
feel like
something
we would have heard about that, especially because I did a lot like with like copyright photos. We learned about all of the like major photos and like for stuff, and I was like, that would have come up in the studies.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I'm sure there's very similar stories in a lot of places, and like
Sure.
if you get nearly as deep into like Vietnam history, like war history as I have, I've seen very similar situations, but that story was created by Robert Cooper. It was not
That makes sense.
it's not real. But yeah, but well, the good news is it can only go up from here.
There's no good news. All bad.
There's 4 episodes left of the season, and next week's is the least canony of the 4.
Okay. Oh yeah, you did say there was gonna be
Yeah.
one.
I mean, it's not completely irrelevant, but it is the last three are
Yeah.
the build up to the finale, and so it is like a, hey, we just killed Janet, we need to give you a slight
Sure.
one-off, like a one-off episode,
Yeah.
like a 1 week to just like get your shit together for a minute.
Like we know you're not ready yet.
We
again,
know
so
you're
keep
not
going.
ready for what's
Yeah.
about to happen and or what just happened. So like here's one decent one-off episode
Sure.
to get
Yeah,
yourself through.
Sure.
But yeah. So Courtney is crying in the rain, as she will be for the rest of time. Um I'm gonna go cry into my pierogies. Uh and this episode, thank God, does not come out on Mother's Day. I really thought it did. But
What a time to be alive.
it's the Sunday after Mother's Day, so we're not quite. I literally looked at the schedule and go, oh, thank God, that would have been some shit. Um, but yeah, so if you have anything you would like to say, if you would like to write a memorial to Janet, don't make that face.
It's sad to do too. Okay.
Courtney can't read it. It'll break her heart all over again.
Can't
But
handle it right now.
well, don't worry. It'll be a month from now, and then it'll just break your heart all over again then. If you have anything you want to share with us, please email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com or follow us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And with that, we will see you on Thursday for our next episode of Thriller Thursday.
Yeah.
Bye.